unhealthy obsession with machinery provisions of bills. But I actually thought Mr Cosgrove made a very helpful contribution. He identified exactly what the problem was here, and that's what happens perhaps when you have overly prescriptive provisions in transitional arrangements or commencement clauses. And one of the issues I want to look at from a legislation point of view, getting away from the particular bill before the House, is whether or not things can be streamlined, because quite frankly it's not overly satisfactory that we have to deal with this matter in this way. And so, as I said, I want to, from an Attorney General point of view with responsibility for the PCO, have a talk to a few people to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Honourable Darren Hughes.
Mr Chairman, I rise to take a reasonably brief call on the committee stage of this bill, and I'm motivated to do so, sir, because I had hoped that the Māori Party might have taken a call during the committee stage of the bill. The member for Te Taitonga spoke very eloquently during the first reading of the bill, and I thought during the committee stage we might have heard from the member for Te Taitokoro, because Clause 1 in the clause-by-clause analysis refers to the change in the title clause for this bill, taking place to ensure that the title clause explicitly refers to the act in which the enactment had originally occurred. In other words, that the bill actually does what Parliament thought it had done in the first place. And I thought that the member for Te Taitokoro, Hone Harawira, might have had a view to make sure that laws did exactly what he thought they would do at the time they were passed by the Parliament with respect to the foreshore and seabed legislation, or the provisions that were going to be referred to in the news today. He refers to stealing land by way of interjection, and yet I don't think that legislation that's to come to the House will explicitly refer to the remedy he seeks by way of interjection. So I'll be very interested to hear from him. I thought I'd be very interested to hear from him if he can make a contribution to the Committee of the Whole about how legislation can explicitly refer, as the clause-by-clause analysis says on Clause 1, with respect to that, because he had quite a lot to say on the television news tonight, and I'm hoping he'll share with the Committee of the Whole what his views are on that, because that point I make, sir, goes to the heart of mistakes that are made in legislation. The member opposite thinks that major mistakes were made. He looks for remedies. This bill is a remedy to a particular mistake that the self-described maestro of New Zealand politics, the Honourable Jonathan Coleman, managed to bring through with this bill, although tonight's a night for congratulating him, because he has got a new child, and we're all very happy for him in that respect and wish him well, and that's why we're happy that it's been handed over to the Attorney General. It's a good night for Jonathan Coleman, but the bill in Clause 1 in that analysis does refer to that. So I do hope that once I've finished my remarks, Hone Harawira will speak to us about that, because there were a lot of people waiting to hear what he has to say about that, I'm sure. I'm certainly one, and he says guarantee. Well, that's good. I mean, if he'd said no, I was going to point out that this is one of those fortnightly Wednesdays in which it is payday, and he should get to his feet and explain in that particular regard what his views are on that, because it seemed to me there was a slightly different position in the government tonight between Government MP Hone Harawira, who's a member of the National Māori Act Party government, and what the ministers were proposing with respect to that law. So I've got a question for the Attorney General, for the Acting Minister of Immigration, who's standing in tonight, and it goes to this 474 correction. The aid memoir refers to the certification of immigration consultants under 22.1, that they can thereby be classified under 23.1. And I wondered if the Minister could just explain to us exactly, well, not exactly, but it's unfair on him. No, he's prescient, but not so. Even this close to Easter, the Minister is not quite in that respect. But by Sunday, of course, he'll have the answer to everything. I think that if he could explain to us exactly what instructions that are going to be classified differently as a result of this, because the bill itself doesn't make that clear. And even the aid memoir, although it refers to what's going to happen mechanically, it doesn't go through the issues of substance in terms of the legislation. My second question to the Honourable Christopher Finlayson is around the appointment of the tribunal members, which I understand is the mistake that was made in between Mr Cosgrove. I think you referred to either version 22 or 23. There'd been a mistake picked up there, and it referred to the tribunal members. I wonder if you can tell the committee, just for our own interest, to what extent the work was done to begin to appoint those tribunal members. So was this discovered because tribunal members were about to be appointed? In other words, it's been decided who they will be, or pretty much near to decided who it will be. But just how much down the road that particular process through the Appointments and Honours Committee had travelled. We certainly don't need to know the names, sir. We're not on a fishing expedition on that. We're sure that, almost certain that could be part of the severance package for the Right Honourable James Brendan Bolger. We're not sure about that. I certainly hope his severance package is much more generous than that, because he's worked hard for our country and deserves it. But Sir, once he's told us how much work had gone on with regard to the appointment of tribunal members, we'd like to know, if we pass this law tonight, and we specifically don't give a commencement date this time, because Jonathan Coleman made us do that last time and he was wrong about that, so we're correcting it tonight. Very happy to do that. Support from the Labour opposition in that regard. We'd like to know when it will be done. So when can we expect tribunal members to be appointed under this particular provision of the bill? Those are the two questions I have, in addition to Hone Harueta's contribution, which I'm anticipating will take place now. E tū e hoa.